Hello everyone, and welcome back to another mini-sode of Inside Alice House. Before we get started tonight, let me introduce some of my colleagues here. We have the matriarch Alice from the Alice House season, and my good old buddy Spencer Baum. We also have a special guest joining us tonight, Leo Anthony. Leo, why don't you tell our fans what they can expect in tonight's episode?
Well, first of all, Eddie, let me thank you for having me back here. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to be here. Yeah, tonight, Eddie, what I'd like to do is introduce our viewers to the remainder of the family here at Alice House. If our viewers remember from our last mini-sode, some of the characters were a bit camera shy, didn't want to appear on camera, but we got that all straightened out now, and I think we're ready to go. I'd like to start the tour and introduce our viewers to Andy and Jeff.
That sounds great, Leo. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Andy and Jeff came to us on a Halloween night about 10 years ago. Trick-or-treating was winding down when they appeared on our doorstep. They were both holding bloody butcher knives. Thinking it was part of their costume props, we didn't pay a lot of attention to it. We invited them inside because it began to rain and we ran out of candy and we had to go back to the kitchen to see what we could scrape together to give them. They followed us into the kitchen and heard the bustle downstairs as the rest of the family was still celebrating the night. Before we knew it, they ran down the stairs and began partaking in the merriment in the basement with the rest of the family. They talked us into letting them stay for a while, and a while turned into days, which turned into months, which turned into a permanent residence here at the house. No one ever looked for them. No missing reports were ever filed. We didn't pursue it because they fit in very well with the rest of the family. So now we're their family. We never did find out the nature of their bloody knives, but we guess some things are best left unknown. They're well behaved and interact well with the rest of the kids who visit.
Yeah, I know Andy and Jeff. They're one of the main attractions at the Spooky Town Carnival with Deidre.
Yep.
Why don't we introduce Ted to our fans?
Sounds good, Eddie. Let's do it. Ted came to us one Halloween night about 15 years ago. After the nightly festivities, we were in the process of dismantling our Halloween props when I walked into the backyard and saw Ted standing in our garden. He was just standing there like a scarecrow gazing up at the night sky. When he saw me, he ambled over and stretched out his wrinkly hand as if to request a treat. I backed away and went to go back into the house and he followed me in. There was some commotion downstairs. It was still Halloween night and a time for celebrating, and it caught Ted's attention. He made his way into the basement and hasn't come up since. He's a welcome addition to the family as he's a great help on Halloween night.
Yeah, I know Ted. He's the dad of the pumpkin boys that come roaming around Meridian Village. What a nuisance. Why don't we introduce our fans to Donna?
That sounds good, Eddie. Let's do it. Donna's a bit of an enigma. We came upon her wandering around aimlessly in our backyard one evening in late fall. She was dressed kind of flimsily, only in a sheer white nightgown and had no shoes on. She couldn't or wouldn't talk, only making moaning and groaning sounds. We took her inside and debated what to do. While we were going over our options, Donna made her way downstairs and joined the other folks, and that's where she's remained ever since. She can be a bit off-putting with her glassy stare and death-like appearance, but generally, she's pretty easygoing.
Yeah, Donna from the Graveside Diner. Yeah, I know Donna from when we used to play our gigs up there when I was with the Storytellers.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't we introduce Alice's sister, Vanessa?
Oh, that sounds real good, Eddie. Let's do it. Vanessa is Alice's sister. She's a bit more withdrawn than Alice, but every bit as nice. Shortly after Alice's arrival here at the house, she mentioned that she had a sister who was experiencing some hard times and requested if it would be possible if we could take her in, if just for a little while. Of course we agreed. One thing led to another, and before you know it, Alice and Vanessa became inseparable. They do bicker at each other from time to time, as all siblings do, but visitors are impressed with their overall good nature, always greeting people with a wide smile.
Yeah, I know Vanessa. Vanessa owns Madame Ashbury's House of Wax in Meridian Village, which is our main tourist attraction there.
Exactly.
So why don't we introduce our fans to Klaus, Leo?
Sounds good, Eddie. Let's do it. Klaus is one of our international friends. Originally from Germany, Klaus is ex-military. A friend of the family introduced us to him about 25 years ago. At the time, we were looking for some security options, and Klaus seemed to fit the bill quite well. He joined us and took on the role of security officer here in the collection. Klaus is the one you'll have to deal with if you get out of line while visiting. Together with Frank, our resident bouncer whom we met earlier, we've never had an issue with unruly guests. Klaus has agreed to don an American military uniform, but insists on keeping his World War II era German helmet.
Yeah, I know Klaus. I see him through Meridian Village all the time, providing security at all the main attractions and events that we have, like Spooky Town Carnival, Dr. Frankenstein's Castle. Great guy, great security to have around.
Oh yeah.
Why don't we introduce our fans to Vlad?
That sounds good, Eddie. Let's do it. Vlad is our dwarf vampire here at Alice House, but don't let his small size fool you. He's every bit as menacing as his full-size counterpart. Vlad is originally from Romania. A doctor in the old country who was Vlad's guardian came over with Vlad to the United States years ago with the intent on beginning a new life here in the United States. Somehow they got involved with the carnival circuit where Vlad was showcased in the sideshows. That's how we made his acquaintance. While visiting a local carnival, say one day about 6 years ago, we had the pleasure of meeting Vlad and his custodian. We became good friends with Vlad's overseer, and kept in touch. It wasn't long after that initial meeting that Vlad's guardian became terminally ill. He contacted us and requested that we take Vlad under our guidance, which we immediately agreed to. Vlad's been with us ever since. He's somewhat of a shy spirit and prefers to be off by himself. We're glad to have him here at Alice House.
Yeah, I see Vlad in and out through Meridian Village, usually hanging around Spooky Town Carnival at some of the attractions they have there.
Yep.
Good man. I haven't met him too much though. Why don't we introduce our fans to Lester?
Lester? That sounds good, Eddie. Let's do it. Lester crawled into our lives about 5 years ago. He literally crawled into our lives. We were working in the basement one day when we heard the upstairs front door slam. When we came up to investigate, here was Lester crawling across our living room floor. We glanced outside, but we couldn't see anybody around that might have dropped him off. As we had a project going down in the basement that needed immediate attention, we scooped Lester up and proceeded downstairs. Lester was an immediate hit with the rest of the family, as they took to him like flies to a piece of rotting flesh. He's been with us ever since, and although he can get a bit cantankerous sometimes, he's adjusting well and relates well to the kids who visit Alice House.
Yeah, I ran into Lester up at the Graveside Diner one night. Man, not a man to be around when he's drinking, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So why don't we introduce our fans to one of my other, we'll call him my homeboys, is Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy. Okay, let's do it, Eddie. Jimmy came to our acquaintance one dark night in northeastern Ohio. We were on our way home from visiting with friends in the area, and we were driving by an old abandoned rock quarry. In the tall weeds at the front of the rock piles, we noticed a pair of legs jutting out. We stopped to investigate. When we parted the weeds, we got the shock of our life. Before us lay a creature, best described as being not of this world. He appeared injured with abrasions and superficial burns. We carried him back to our car and transported him home to Alice House. Once here, we treated his wounds and made him comfortable. Although verbal communication was impossible, we were somehow able to understand each other. When he was feeling better, Jimmy was introduced to the rest of the family here at Alice House. He was immediately accepted as one of our own, with Christine and Henry, two of our otherworldly members, particularly taking him under their wing to care for him. He's adjusted well and has become a very popular individual with those who visit us.
Yeah, like I said, I know Jimmy very well. I could write a whole movie on stories with me, Jimmy, and especially Spencer. So why don't we introduce Seth?
It sounds good, Eddie. Let's introduce Seth. Seth came to our family, about 20 years ago. We were visiting the Amish country of northeastern Indiana when we happened upon Seth sitting on the side of an old country road next to a cornfield. Naturally, we stopped to offer assistance as he looked quite young. He pleaded with us to take him in, as he claimed he was orphaned and any return to his Amish settlement would only result in further abuse. We agreed that he could stay with us, at least until we got things sorted out. But all attempts to get any information from his Amish community were met with stiff resistance. The Amish are a tight-knit group that tend to shield themselves from the rest of society. So rather than pursue the issue any further, we agreed that Seth could join our family, and that's where he's remained ever since. He's happy to be here, and we're happy to have him, and that's all that counts.
Yeah, I know Seth. has a tendency to hang out with the pumpkin boys a lot,
Yeah.
slinging those pumpkin seeds around Meridian Village. Why don't we introduce our fans to Floyd?
Okay, let's go to Floyd. Floyd is another one of our little people here in the family. He may be short in stature, but what he lacks in height, he more than makes up for with his feisty attitude. We met Floyd in a bar one night many years ago. After closing time, we decided to stop by the house to introduce him to the rest of our family, as that was the topic of conversation for a good part of the night. He hit it off so well with the other members that there was never a doubt as to whether he would remain here with us. Floyd's a big hit with the kids who visit. Because of his short stature, the kids can easily relate to him. We have to keep an eye on him though, as sometimes he forgets that he's dealing with kids and not adults, and his language can get a bit salty.
Yeah, I ran into him a few times across Meridian Village, and let's say he likes to bite people.
Yeah.
Why don't we introduce our fans to Christine?
That sounds good, Eddie. Let's meet Christine. Christine, like Henry, whom we met previously, is not of this world. Where she hails from is still a mystery, as she is a person of very few words. We came upon Christine one night in a moonlit meadow just outside of Adrian, Michigan. A number of UFO reports were coming in from the area, and we went to do some investigating on our own. We saw Christine ambling through a meadow approaching the highway. We originally thought that she was an elderly woman who may have lost her way. We stopped and offered assistance, as she was swaddled in clothing that obscured her head and face. It wasn't until we arrived home that we discovered that Christine wasn't what she originally appeared to be. She made her way down to the basement as we were discussing our next move. There, she immediately befriended Henry, our other extraterrestrial guest. Together, they became inseparable. Christine is a bit shy, though. She prefers to locate off in the corner rather than up front and center. Nonetheless, she is a valuable member of our family, as her contributions cannot be overlooked.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this or not, Leo, but Christine is a distant cousin to Jimmy.
I didn't know that.
Out in the alien world, yeah, and she's currently the librarian at the library here in Meridian Village.
Is that right?
Yeah. Why don't we introduce our fans to Alfred?
Alfred. Okay, Eddie, let's do it. Alfred's availability was passed on to us by a good friend who was moving to London. We needed assistance with general household chores so we could devote more time to the collection and collecting in general. We met Alfred and immediately hit it off. He's been with us now for about 30 years, serving at the capacity as our butler.
Yeah, I know Alfred. He's Alice's butler now. I've had many incursions with Alfred. I've had a nice couple glasses of wine with that man. Great gentleman.
Oh yeah, yep.
Since our fans got to meet the family here of Alice House, what are some future minisodes that we have in store for our fans that you'd like to share with them?
Well, Eddie, I thought for our next minisode, what I'd like to do is to introduce our fans to the original 13 Aurora monster model kits that were released back in the early 60s when they first started coming out. These were the kits that really started the whole monster craze of that era, and it started the whole output of all the monster type things that you saw during that time. And actually it even continues up until this day today.
Yeah, I think our fans will get a great kick out of the model kits, the masks, the figures, the toys that we have that are all related to horror, science fiction, and fantasy. I think our fans will get a big kick out of it.
Absolutely.
Pickled ear, anyone? This is Wild Future Productions, where your fear begins. I would like to thank my production team here at Wild Future Productions. Myself, Eddie Emmons, Leo Anthony, Anthony St. John, Marie Perry, Tennille Meadowlark, and Anthony White. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication for making this project possible. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button at the end of the video.